borders that are for the security of our peoples, that will promote the welfare of civilization. May our good Lord renew commitment to find solutions that are aimed at fostering and safeguarding the dignity of every human person, so that obstacles past and present will not prevail to undermine respect for every person. Bless this House of Parliament, your servants, Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Opposition Leader Mark Golding, as we host President Paul Kagame. May the goodwill of his visit facilitate beneficial relations for our nations and peoples. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move the following resolution. Be it resolved that the standing orders of this House be suspended to permit the honourable members of the Senate to sit jointly with the House in a meeting to be presided over by the Speaker and to receive an address by His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, this afternoon. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Members, the question is that the standing orders of this House...
Madam Speaker, I second the motion. Thank you.
The question is that the standing orders of this House be suspended to permit the honourable members of the Senate to sit jointly with the House in a meeting to be presided over by the Speaker and to receive an address by His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, parliamentarians all, distinguished guests. It is indeed an honor to welcome His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, to the Parliament of Jamaica. Your Excellency, your reputation has preceded you. You are the statesman who has made your country a jewel on the African continent. A man who has used his presidency to champion gender equality, to improve access to education for the children of Rwanda. A man with a vision to oversee the digital transformation of the Rwandan society. It is truly a pleasure, sir, to have you with us today, and we look forward to your address. I now invite the Prime Minister
His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, the Honorable Marissa Dalrymple-Filbert, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Senator the Honorable Tom Tavares Finson, President of the Senate, parliamentarians, all members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct honor to address you today on the occasion of the state visit by His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, in marking Jamaica's 60th year of independence. I join you, Madam Speaker, in welcoming President Kagame to this specifically convened joint sitting of the Parliament. We look forward to your address, Mr. President, during this afternoon's proceedings. It is a tribute to the strength and great potential of the Jamaica-Rwanda relationship that President Kagame accepted my invitation to visit Jamaica. In doing so, he has the distinction of being the first Rwandan head of state to visit our country, and we therefore trust that his time with us will be a memorable one. Jamaica and Rwanda have forged a collaborative partnership since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1998. We have been able to accomplish this, particularly in those international bodies in which we share common membership, and where we have been able to converge on several matters of critical importance, such as climate change. As we both have common interests in forging stronger regional relations, we have also been able to work in those spaces to build a stronger alliance, especially between CARICOM and the African Union, with which we have a special and natural bond. Mr. President, we welcome your visit at this time as a great opportunity to deepen our collaboration at the bilateral level and maximize our level of engagement. Indeed, the Jamaica-Rwanda relationship is one of kinship, and so we hope to continue to deepen our friendship in keeping with my administration's goal to strengthen engagement with the African continent. Madam Speaker, you described Rwanda as a jewel. I will use another phrase. I will say that Rwanda is a powerhouse. A powerhouse of socio-economic development and advancement. And like Jamaica, has a level of influence and impact which far surpasses its geographical size. Rwanda has overcome unimaginable challenges, and it now embraces its rightful place in regional and global leadership. Rwanda's rise and its status as one of Africa's fastest growing economies has been achieved under President Kagame's able leadership, steady guidance, built upon his fight for the country's liberation. Rwanda is now a model of the true spirit of Umuganda, coming together in a common purpose to achieve an outcome. Rwanda is also a practical voice for environmental management and innovation, and stands as a shining example in its empowerment of women and girls. Rwanda was the first country in the world with a female majority in parliament, and now stands as the country with the highest level of female representation. Even as we strive to attain the figures that you currently enjoy, Mr. President, which is approximately 61%, we are pleased that we nonetheless, presently, have the highest ever proportion of female representation in the Jamaican Parliament. Mr. President, I still have some work to do. We congratulate and admire Rwanda for its many milestone achievements over the past 28 years, and we believe that there is much for us to share and learn from each other. Through our exchanges, we will have the opportunity to take forward technical cooperation in several fields, including culture, ICT, health, tourism, and sport. We're looking forward to advancing our economic relations through increased trade and investment prospects, particularly as it relates to logistics, special economic zones, agriculture, and manufacturing. I also welcome the other occasions and events during this visit that will allow for us to share views and opinions on a variety of global and local issues. Mr. President, I thank you once again for your presence, for accepting our invitation, and for making the journey. I know, Mr. President, you had a very busy schedule, flying directly from the continent after having a long meeting in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Mr. President, we warmly welcome you, and we are happy to have you. May our special relationship continue to strengthen and deepen for the benefit of both our peoples. Mr. President.
I now invite the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golding.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam Speaker, Mr. President, colleague parliamentarians, former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, other distinguished guests, members of the diplomatic corps who are here. It is indeed a wonderful occasion. I want to join in the remarks of the Prime Minister on this very significant occasion and say what a great pleasure it is that the parliamentarians of Jamaica can welcome His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, to our shores. President Kagame has built an international reputation as a leader of great vision, profound determination, unreserved resilience, and admirable fortitude. His ascendance to the leadership of his country in 2000 ushered in the birth of a new and renewed Rwanda. He has led the people of his country out of the social and economic turmoil of their internal strife, which, as the Prime Minister said, was an unimaginably difficult situation and tragic situation. President Kagame has implemented major constitutional reforms to establish a governance system capable of delivering on his vision of rapid national development, and he then proceeded to implement his vision to transform the lives of his people. President Kagame's commitment to empowering Rwandans through education and entrepreneurship has yielded tremendous results. The vigorous promotion of investment in information and communication technologies and other sectors of innovation has helped to power his dream of a modern and globally competitive economy for Rwanda. His remarkable success in the implementation of his program of development has resulted in rapid economic growth, which has transformed his country. Indeed, Rwanda has set the standard for the modern development of post-colonial nations. President Kagame's leadership has not been limited to economic affairs. Rwanda was one of the early nations to ratify the Maputo Protocol in 2003 in furtherance of the rights of women, as well as the Solemn Declaration on Gender Equality in Africa. And the Prime Minister has articulated the practical implementation of that in terms of governance of the country, with the very high levels of participation of women at the top of the governance system. We commend you, Mr. President. On the international plane, Rwanda's engagement and participation in organizations such as the East African Community and the Commonwealth has resulted in strengthening of partnerships based on principled engagement between Africa and Caribbean nations, and indeed the rest of the world. Mr. President, under your astute leadership, Rwanda is well on the road to progress and prosperity. By virtue of your steadfast commitment to achieving greatness for your nation, Rwanda has become a beacon of pride among African nations and among developing countries across the globe. You have made Rwanda a catalyst of promise of an African renaissance, setting the example for how effective leadership can deliver great success for that continent. We acknowledge your invaluable contribution to fostering peace and reconciliation among African nations over the years. Your Excellency, your visit has inspired in us renewed belief in what we can achieve in the face of our many daunting challenges. Our Parliament salutes you. We thank you for visiting Jamaica and wish you continued success on your historic mission of development for your nation, Rwanda, and for Africa as a whole. We are very pleased for the role that Jamaica played in the emergence and acceptance of Rwanda into the Commonwealth of Nations. It was a process in which former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson, Most Honourable P.J. Patterson, played a seminal role, followed up by former Prime Minister Bruce Golding. And we are very pleased that you have now ascended in a relatively short space of time from membership to chairmanship of the Commonwealth. That's a fantastic achievement. So, Mr. President, we look forward to your tenure as chairman of the Commonwealth and the progressive energy that we are confident you will bring to that role over the next 2 years. Welcome and thank you for coming.
I now invite His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, to address this joint sitting of the Honorable Senate and House of Representatives of Jamaica. President.
The Honorable Thomas Tevez Finson, President of the Senate, the Honorable Marisa Dorempo Filbert, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, the Honorable Mark Golding, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Senators and Members of Parliament, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I feel great honor to be standing before you today to address a joint sitting of the Houses of Parliament of Jamaica. I thank the Parliament of Jamaica for this distinction. Yesterday, I paid tribute to Marcus Garvey at National Heroes Park. More than 100 years ago, he envisioned a united Africa for the Africans of the world. It is no accident that the idea of African unity arose from this very island. Among the descendants of those who had been forcibly separated from their ancestral homeland, the pain of disunity and contempt was deeply felt. The ideas championed by Garvey and many others on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean reverberated in Africa as well. From the struggle for independence to the subsequent challenges of nation building, the Pan-African ideal has served as a guide for how things should be, even if we do not always live up to it in practice. Celebrating what we share as Africans and the African diaspora helps us to confront the harsh realities of this world we live in. Even now, we are constantly reminded that we have to work together and support one another. Jamaica will celebrate its 60th anniversary of independence on August 6th this year. Rwanda will mark the same milestone just a month earlier on July the 1st. Jamaica has many achievements of which it is rightly proud. On behalf of the government and people of Rwanda, I wish to congratulate you here today. The launch of the Jamaica 60 celebrations last night was a fitting tribute to the enormous progress Jamaica has made. Independence is a date in history, but it is also a mindset. The power of an anniversary comes from the opportunity to remind a new generation of the struggles that came before. Even more important is upholding the spirit of self-reliance needed to sustain and deepen what has been accomplished in the time since. Whatever we have managed to do for ourselves as a people, we can always do more and better. This historical duty is part of what unites us as children of Africa. We are therefore very honored to be here with you at this very moment. I have a simple message to share today. We are not strangers to one another. In our diversity, we share common traits. Our peoples are resilient, creative, and, as our common history shows, also indestructible. This mutual recognition should have practical, tangible effects. We belong to a number of important multilateral bodies, including the Commonwealth and the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States. As the newest member of the Commonwealth, Rwanda is proud to host the next Heads of Government meeting in Kigali in June this year. And I can't forget again as mentioned earlier, to thank Jamaica for supporting Rwanda at the time of need. We hope to see strong representation from the Commonwealth, Caribbean. And you will be welcomed home. Africa and the Caribbean should work together to advance common positions in these bodies where our interests align, as they often do. Climate change and global health are two urgent examples. But Africa and the Caribbean do not have to relate to each other only through intermediaries. Our diplomats tend to meet in New York, London, or Geneva. I have no problem with that, but we could do it otherwise, directly. When our young people get to know each other, it is probably at universities, in similar places. We could do a lot more. It is high time for Africa and the Caribbean to work together in a direct and sustainable sustained manner, both through our representative regional organizations, CARICOM and the African Union, and bilaterally. The first Africa CARICOM summit last September was long overdue and must be built upon. There should also be direct people-to-people exchanges. Particularly for the youth and entrepreneurs. In Rwanda, we have already had several Jamaican professionals come to our country and make meaningful contributions, some of them as representatives of leading international organizations. This has only made us want to see more people from Jamaica and this region in Rwanda. As Rwanda, we are also keen to cooperate with Jamaica much more closely and share experiences in trade and investment, as well as national unity and citizen development. Let's exchange with each other directly and thereby honor the history that joins us and make it a potent force for practical cooperation in the modern world. Honorable members, Madam Speaker, I close once again with thanks to you and to the government and the people of Jamaica for the privilege to visit your country and to be received with much warmth and solidarity. I thank you once again, Prime Minister, Right Honorable, for inviting me to come to this beautiful land. Thank you for your kind attention.
Your Excellency, we eagerly anticipated your address to our Parliament, and we were not disappointed by your gracious words. Thank you very much. Your address was indeed very poignant, to the credit of the Rwandan people and to your credit. The Rwandan Republic has emerged as a nation focused and intent on developing the economic, social, and political stability characteristic of a modern and prosperous democracy. Your Excellency, like the people of Jamaica, who have overcome much in our history, the people of Rwanda have demonstrated a resilience and fierce determination to advance despite the obstacles common to developing states. Your visit augurs well for strengthening the relationship between Rwanda and Jamaica, and we look forward to using this opportunity to further cooperation and deepen the harmony between our two nations, and by extension, the rest of the African continent. The Republic of Rwanda and other nations of Africa are emerging as global leaders in many different spheres: technology, industry, agriculture, and environmental protection, to name a few. Now is the time for our two countries to work together in the pursuit of peace and understanding. Your Excellency, thank you once again, and it is my sincere hope, indeed the hope of this Parliament, that during your very short stint with us, you are able to glean at least a bit of the flavor of this country. We welcome you and hope to see you again soon. God bless you.
To call him, but I can't reach you because there's a young man who's at the
All right. Okay.
She reached out there.
That's Lisa. The speaker.
please be seated. You're going to leave now.
Without fanfare,
Yes, yes, we just go. Resumes its sitting. Members, members, I crave your indulgence for just the call of the roll, please. Just a call of the roll. Call of the roll and the announcements are the two items. Yes. Members, crave your indulgence. Today is indeed a a very historic occasion here in this Parliament, what with the visit of the President of Rwanda, His Excellency Mr. Paul Kagame. However, in addition to that, I would like this Parliament to take notice that today our own Minister of Tourism has been named one of the 50 tourism icons of the world. There is truly much for us to celebrate in this small island, and we should. And therefore, I want to crave your indulgence. I think he's the 29th person that has been. And I want to crave your indulgence for a moment. I want to just read briefly. I think it is worth our while to recognize this honor that has been bestowed on our minister. And it says, recognized for his wide-ranging expertise and accomplishments in the political arena, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett has given over 40 years of service to Jamaica, working both in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. Bartlett was first appointed Minister of Tourism in 2007, serving until December 2011. Prior to this appointment, he already had a solid track record of service as an outstanding legislator in central government in both chambers of parliament. While serving in the shadow cabinet following his first stint as tourism minister, he traveled the world forging alliances. I did pause to emphasize traveled the world. However, he did forge alliances with strategic partners for global initiatives. He returned to the helm of the Ministry of Tourism following his party's victory in Jamaica, February 2016 general elections. As one of the world's leading tourism ministers, Bartlett has represented Jamaica regionally and internationally. He served in many posts, and I'm not going to read all of them. He is presently the chair of the Regional Commission of the Americas since being appointed in May 2019, and the founder and co-chair of the Global Tourism and Resilience Crisis Management Center at the University in Mona. Members, he is the first to serve on the executive of both the public and private sector arms of this prestigious organization. This wealth of experience has made him a much sought-after speaker at tourism-related forums. Bartlett is an ardent proponent of the public-private sector partnerships, which he considers essential to the sustainable development of the tourism industry. These alliances span the various sectors locally and internationally that make up tourism, including transportation, agriculture, and manufacturing. Some of these partnerships have taken the form of foreign direct investment, particularly in the area of accommodation. And there's lots more to say, but I want to close by saying, in November of 2018, Bartlett was appointed to serve as a member of the board of sitting ministers for the African Tourism Board. He was also the recipient of the 2016 Caribbean Tourism Minister of Distinction Award at the recent African Diaspora World Tourism Awards. In 2016, he was awarded Caribbean's leading personality for outstanding services to tourism at the 23rd World Travel Awards. In 2012, Bartlett was conferred with the Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander for the outstanding and important services to Jamaica, and in 2010 was conferred with the Commander of Number of the Order of Civil Merit of Spain on the Order of the King of Spain. The Honorable Minister was recently applauded by Patwa and awarded as Tourism Minister of the Year 2018 for sustainable tourism during the ITB Travel Trade Show in Brazil. And we laud and we are proud of him. And again, here is another Jamaican, a member of our own parliament who has risen to world recognition. We are proud and we thank him for his contribution. And you know, it would be remiss of me, even as I congratulate him, not to also commend our Deputy House Leader who sits behind him, who has done so much for this visit, for the fantastic show that was put on last night. And we are indeed proud of both persons who have served.
Madam Speaker, it's very difficult to respond to a statement that humble and really bring my own sense of what we have done together in such a sharp focus. I'm not only humbled by it, but I'm also left almost speechless. And that's a hard thing to do. But, Madam Speaker, these accolades have not come to me. They really have come to Jamaica and to the tourism sector, and also to all the partners who have worked so assiduously over the years with us to build this great product of tourism in Jamaica. And so I want to lay it on their shoulders and indeed at their feet in all of this, and to hope that the work that we have done, having been seen and noticed, will only inspire greater effort and more accomplishments, because the work has truly just begun. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I just wish to, on behalf of the opposition, to congratulate my opposite number for really a wonderful accolade. Ed Bartlett epitomizes what is best in Jamaica and in our representatives. And I know the effort he puts into it, and the results are there to see. We want to commend him for the effort on behalf of the people of Jamaica, and to say that we're honored, and it is truly honoring in the 60th year to have one among us. Although some of it I couldn't recognize, but all of it is well placed, and we want to congratulate him. The opposition joins in congratulating him.
Call of the roll, Ms. Curtis.
Mrs. Holness, Mr. Bartlett, Mr. Holness, Dr. Clark, Dr. Chang, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Samuda, Ms. Grange, Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Malawu Fort, Dr. Tufton, Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Mr. Charles, Mr. Green, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Terry Long, Ms. Smith, Dr. Dunn, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Main, Mr. Davis, Mr. Witter, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown-Burke, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Clark, Mr. Cousins, Ms. Crawford, Ms. Daly, Ms. Davis, Mr. Goldin, Mr. Graham, Dr. Guy, Ms. Hamilton, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Henriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Lee, Mr. Miller, Mr. Montague, Ms. Morrison, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Siblist, Mr. Slowly, Mrs. Vaz, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wright. Where's the other people?
Announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today are the following. The Nzinga King report dated April 5, 2022 from the Office of the Public Defender. Annual report on audited financial statement of the Ultimate Tire Company Limited for the year 2017-2018. Annual report on audited financial statements of the Maritime Authority of Jamaica for the year 2018-2019. The University of the West Indies Mona Campus Principal's Annual Report for the years 2019-2020 and 2020-2021. Ministry Paper numbers 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33 respectively, under the law reform zones of special operations, special security, and community development measures in respect of the Denham Town Community Social Intervention dated April 13, 2022, the Norwood Community Zone Social Intervention dated April 13, 2022, the Mount Salem Community Zone Social Intervention dated September 1, 2027 to April 13, 2022, the Parade Gardens Zone Social Intervention dated April 13, 2022, the Savannah Bar Community Zone Social Intervention dated April 13, 2022, the Greenwich Town Social Intervention dated April 13, 2022, and the August Town Community Development Zone Social Intervention. And the Norwood Community in the Parish of St. James Zone Extension of Period of Operation Number 2 Order 2022. The law reform zones of special operations, special security and community development measures between each town zone extension of period of operation number 2 order 2022 and the Denham Town Community Zone extension of period of operation number 2 order 2022 and Mount Salem Community and Environs in the Parish of St. James Zone extension of period of operation number 2 order 2022 and the Savannah Bar Zone extension of period of operation number 2 order 2022, the August Town extension of period of operation number 2 order 2022, and the Parade Garden Zone extension of period of operation number 2 order 2022, and their respective resolutions.
Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally.
The following motions. The law reform zones of special operations extension of period of operation, number 2, Order 2022 resolution. Whereas Section 4 of the Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures Act 2017, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the Prime Minister in Council may, by order, declare any geographically defined area within a single continuous boundary in Jamaica as a special zone of operations for a period not exceeding 60 days if there are reasonable grounds to believe that due to rampant criminality, gang warfare, escalating violence, and murder, and the threat to the rule of law and public order, it is necessary so to do. And whereas in accordance with that section, the Prime Minister in Council made the Law Reform, Zone of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Sabana-Lamar Zone Order 2022. And whereas that order provides that the said zone shall operate for a period of 60 days. And whereas Section 5 of the Act provides that the Prime Minister in Council, after consultation with the Joint Command, may, by order, subject to affirmative resolution of the House of Representatives, extend the said period for such further periods, each not exceeding 60 days. And whereas on the 14th day of April 2022, the Prime Minister in Council made the Law Reform Zone of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Sabana-Lamar Zone extension of period of operation, number 2, Order 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. 1. This resolution may be cited as the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Sabana-Lamar Zone extension of period of operations, number 2, Order 2022 resolution. And 2, the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Development Measures, the Sabana-Lamar Zone extension of period of operations, number 2, Order 2022 is hereby affirmed. I tried, but the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Augustown Zone extension of period of operations, number 2, Order 2022 resolution. Whereas Section 4 of the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures Act 2017, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the Prime Minister in Council may, by order, declare any geographically defined area within a single continuous boundary in Jamaica as a zone of special operations for a period not exceeding 60 days if there are reasonable grounds to believe that due to rampant criminality, gang warfare, escalating violence and murder, and the threat to the rule of law and public order, it is necessary so to do. And whereas in accordance with that section, the Prime Minister in Council made the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, Augustown Order 2020. And whereas that order provides that the said zone shall operate for a period of 60 days. And whereas Section 5 of the Act provides that the Prime Minister in Council, after consultation with the Joint Command, may, by order subject to affirmative resolution of the House of Representatives, extend the said period for such further periods, each not exceeding 60 days. And whereas on the 14th day of April 2022, the Prime Minister in Council made the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Augustown Zone extension of period of operations, number 2, Order 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. 1. This resolution may be cited as the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Augustown Zone extension of period of operations, number 2, Order 2022. And 2, the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Augustown Zone extension of period of operation, number 2, Order 2022 is hereby affirmed. Resolution number 3. The Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Denham Town Community Zone Extension of Period of Operations number 2, Order 2022 Resolution. Whereas Section 4 of the Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures Act 2017, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the Prime Minister and Council may by order declare any geographically defined area within a continuous boundary in Jamaica as a zone of special operations for a period not exceeding 60 days if there are reasonable grounds to believe that due to rampant criminality, gang warfare, escalating violence and murder, and the threat to the rule of law and public order, it is necessary so to do. And whereas, in accordance with that section, the Prime Minister in Council made the Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures declaration of the Denham Town Community Zone number 2, Order 2017. And whereas that order provides that the said zone shall operate for a period of 60 days. And whereas Section 5 of the Act provides that the Prime Minister in Council, after consultation with the Joint Command, may, by order, subject to affirmative resolution of the House of Representatives, extend the said period for such periods, each not exceeding 60 days. And whereas on the 14th day of April 2022, the Prime Minister in Council made the Law Reform, Zone of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Denham Town Community Zone Extension of Period of Operations, number 2, Order 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. 1. The resolution may be cited as the Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Denham Town Community Zone Extension of Period of Operations, number 2, Order 2022 Resolution. The Law Reform, and 2, the Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Denham Town Community Zone Extension of Period of Operation, number 2, Order 2022 is hereby affirmed. And now we're going to do resolution number 4. The Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Mount Salem Community and Environs in the Parish of St. James Zone, Extension of Period of Operation, number 2, Order 2022 Resolution. Whereas Section 4 of the Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, Act 2017, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the Prime Minister and Council may, by order, declare any geographically defined area within a single continuous boundary in Jamaica as a zone of special operations for a period not exceeding 60 days, if there are reasonable grounds to believe that due to rampant criminality, gang warfare, escalating violence and murder, and the threat to the rule of law and public order, it is necessary so to do. And whereas in accordance with that section, the Prime Minister in Council made the Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Mount Salem Community and Environment in the Parish of St. James Zone, Order 2017. And whereas that order provides that the said zone shall operate for a period of 60 days, and whereas Section 5 of the Act provides that the Prime Minister in Council, after consultation with the Joint Command, may by order, subject to affirmative resolution of the House of Representatives, extend the said period for such further periods not exceeding 60 days. And whereas on the 14th day of April 2022, the Prime Minister in Council made the Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Mount Salem Community Development Zone, Extension of Period of Operation, number 2, Order 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. 1. This resolution may be cited as the Law Reform, Zone of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Mount Salem Community and Environs in the Parish of St. James Zone, Extension of Period of Operations, number 2, Order 2022 Resolution. And 2, the Law Reform, Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures, the Mount Salem Community and Environs in the Parish of St. James Zone, Extension of Period of Operations, number 2, Order 2022, is hereby affirmed. This is now Order number 5. the law reform zones of special operations, the parade garden zone extension of period of operations, number 2, order 2022. Whereas Section 4 of the Zones of Special Operations Act 2017, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the Prime Minister and Council may by order declare any geographically defined area within a single continuous boundary in Jamaica as a zone of special operations for a period not exceeding 60 days if there are reasonable grounds to believe that due to rampant criminality, gang warfare, escalating violence and murder, and the threat to the rule of law and public order, it is necessary so to do. And whereas, in accordance with that section, the Prime Minister and Council made the law reform, special security and community development measures, the Parade Garden Zone Order 2022. And whereas that order provides that the said zone shall operate for a period of 60 days, and whereas Section 5 of the Act provides that the Prime Minister and Council, after consultation with the Joint Command, may by order, subject to affirmative resolution in the House of Representatives, extend the said period for such further periods, each not exceeding 60 days. And whereas, on the 14th day of April 2022, the Prime Minister and Council made the law reform zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, the parade garden zones, extension of period of operations, number 2, order 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. 1. This resolution may be cited as the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, the parade garden zone, extension of period of operation, number 2, order 2022 resolution. And 2, the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, the parade garden zone, extension of period of operation, number 2, order 2022 is hereby affirmed. We are now at order number 6. The law reform, zones of special operation, the Norwood community in the parish of St. James Zone, extension of period of operation, number 2, order 2022. Whereas Section 4 of the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, Act 2017, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the Prime Minister and Council may by order declare any geographically defined area within a single continuous boundary in Jamaica as a zone of special operations for a period not exceeding 60 days if there are reasonable grounds to believe that due to rampant criminality, gang warfare, escalating violence and murder, and the threat to the rule of law and public order, it is necessary so to do. And whereas in accordance with that section, the Prime Minister and Council made the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, Norwood community, the parish of St. James Zone, order 2021. And whereas that order provides that the said zone shall operate for a period of 60 days, and whereas Section 5 of the Act provides that the Prime Minister and Council, after consultation with the Joint Command, may by order, subject to affirmative resolution of the House of Representatives, extend the said period for such further periods, each not exceeding 60 days. And whereas on the 14th day of April 2022, the Prime Minister and Council made the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, the Norwood community in the parish of St. James Zone, extension of period of operations, number 2, order 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. 1. This resolution may be cited as the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, the Norwood community in the parish of St. James Zone, extension of period of operations, number 2, order 2022 resolution. And 2, the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, the Norwood community in the parish of St. James Zone, extension of period of operations, number 2, order 2022 is hereby affirmed. 7th and final, the law reform, special security and community development measures, the Greenwich Town Zone, extension of period of operations, number 2, order 2022 resolution. Whereas Section 4 of the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, Act 2017, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the Prime Minister and Council may, by order, declare any geographically defined area within a single continuous boundary in Jamaica as a zone of special operations for a period not exceeding 60 days if there are reasonable grounds to believe that due to rampant criminality, gang warfare, escalating violence and murder, and the threat to the rule of law and public order, it is necessary so to do. And whereas, in accordance with that section, the Prime Minister in Council made the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, the Greenwich Town Zone Order 2020. And whereas that order provides that the said zone shall operate for a period of 60 days, and whereas Section 5 of the Act provides that the Prime Minister in Council, after consultation with the Joint Command, may, by order, subject to affirmative resolution of the House of Representatives, extend the said period for such further periods, each not exceeding 60 days. And whereas on the 14th day of April 2022, the Prime Minister in Council made the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, the Greenwich Town Zone, extension of period of operation number 2, Order 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. 1. This resolution may be cited as the law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, the Greenwich Town Zone, extension of period of operations number 2, Order 2022 resolution. And 2, the law reform, zones of special operations, special security community development measures, the Greenwich Town Zone, extension of period of operation number 2, Order 2022 is hereby affirmed. Madam Speaker, I beg to give further notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of standing orders to enable me to take these resolutions.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the following motion. Motion for review and implementation of change in standing orders regarding women's dress code. Whereas the standing orders define the code of dress and behavior of members of the House of Representatives, whereas these standing orders are in need of review, given that women now wear pantsuits and also have sleeveless garments accepted in corporate chambers, whereas the change in climate has influenced the change in the style of clothing to keep women cool to safeguard their health, whereas acceptance of sleeveless garments are accepted in public offices and state gatherings, whereas the Parliament has given notice to the Minister of Gender Affairs, having been given the mandate to review the need for this review of dress code some 2 years ago. Be it resolved that the House establish this review as indicated by the Most Honourable Prime Minister, so that the female members of the House may have the comfort of modern and environmentally suitable dress code.
Questions and answers to questions.
Madam Speaker, could the House Leader indicate to me when the questions that are in my name that are overdue for answer by the Minister of Finance, when they will be answered?
Madam Speaker, the nature of the current program of the House, as is understood, being taken essentially by the sectoral debate. In the normal run of things, members would appreciate that questions would then be answered appropriately so as to allow them the latitude and time to, have follow-up questions and so on during the period. So the Minister of Finance has indicated that he will in due course have the answers for those questions, and they will be tabled appropriately, Madam Speaker. May it please you.
Madam Speaker, I'm not going to make a big issue, but it can't be that the sectoral debate is a reason why we don't answer questions. And I hope the House Leader is not suggesting that.
Madam Speaker, I think the member is being a little disingenuous in the sense that he recognizes the normal flow of activities in the House, and that the real answer to him is that the Minister of Finance has indicated that he will have the answers for him in due course.
Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice, motions relating to sittings of the House, motions for leave to introduce bills, presentation of bills without leave of the House, first obtained, public business.
Madam Speaker, the sole matter for public business today are the motions to be debated now by the Prime Minister with regarding to the ZOZOs. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Prime Minister.
For me to be brief in this presentation. So I will be very expeditious. So, Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the resolution, notice of which I gave earlier.
The question is that the standing orders be suspended to enable the Prime Minister to take the resolutions, notice of which he gave earlier. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And though it is not necessary, but I thank the members who have decided to give me their presence today, which is not a normal parliamentary day, but we took advantage of the sitting so that we could extend the zones of special operations, which were set to expire before the next slated sitting of the House. Madam Speaker, it is not the practice for what I'm about to do to be done. But I think, Madam Speaker, that both the opposition and members of the government would have taken note of this practice of reading into the records these resolutions. Now, Madam Speaker, you will recall that when we started this business of zones of special operations, we identified 20 communities that we thought would be candidates for the application of this special tool. Now, Madam Speaker, it would be impractical and indeed humanly impossible, I dare say, to read 20 of those resolutions into the record. As you would have seen, Madam Speaker, it would have taken me about 15 minutes going at a pretty decent clip to read those resolutions. Madam Speaker, I urge you to urge the Clerk of the House to advise us as to how we could properly consolidate these orders into a more manageable form, more manageable and practical form. The truth is, Madam Speaker, that we hold on to some conventions which don't make practical sense in our situation, and I think it is not beyond us. It is in this room that the power lies to make the changes. So I urge you, Madam Speaker, with the staff of the Parliament to look at the standing orders which govern how these things are presented and advise the leader of government business and the respective ministers so that we can do the necessary changes so that we are in keeping with what is required by the essence of the law. Thank you for the indulgence in that remark, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in keeping with the legislative mandate, we are once again seeking further extensions for all 7 areas currently declared zones of special operations in the communities of Norwood and Denham Town, slated to expire on April 21 and 25th respectively, and Mount Salem, Augustown, Greenwich Town, Parade Gardens, and Savannah slated to expire on May 5th, 2022. Madam Speaker, the undeniable value of the zones of special operations is impatient of debate. And the fact is that they are desired by the residents in the affected community. Madam Speaker, just as an aside, in Parade Gardens, there was a reallocation of security resources to be able to immediately address other problems which were popping up. And in Parade Gardens, Madam Speaker, the residents were very vocal that they did not want any standing down of the security presence there. So the zones of special operations are demanded now, not just by the general population, but certainly by the communities that have been declared. We are therefore seeking an extension of the orders in these 7 communities to continue the long-term transformational process that the Act was intended to achieve. Acting on the advice of the National Security Council and in accordance with the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures Act, and in accordance with Section 5 of the Act, which guides that the Prime Minister in Council, after consultation with the Joint Command, may by order subject to affirmative resolution of the House of Representatives extend for periods not exceeding 60 days. I will today table and take all 7 resolutions. Again, this time will be a necessary enabler for the continuance of the delivery of social services and infrastructural investments, which have already commenced but must be much further realized. And likewise, in accordance with Section 6 of the Act, today an overview of the activities within the zones have been outlined in the ministry paper, which has been distributed to each member. Madam Speaker, the respective zones continue to transition along the clear hole build spectrum. Mount Salem and Denham Town, Jamaica's first and second zone of special operations, will continue in the build phase. Denham Town, Greenwich Town, August Town, and Norwood will continue. Well, I think that's an error, Madam Speaker. So Denham Town is in the build phase, but it is Greenwich Town, August Town, and Norwood will continue in the hold phase, while Parade Gardens and Savannah have now transitioned to the hold phase, meaning that they have now come out of the clear phase and they have just started in the hold phase. Madam Speaker, the outlook for these communities is promising, and we can report that there have been major reductions in murder and serious crimes in these 7 communities since their respective periods of declaration. In fact, since the respective periods of declarations, as of the 11th of April 2022, Parade Gardens and Savannah have recorded no murders or shootings. Mount Salem has recorded a 64% reduction in murders and a 68% reduction in shootings. Denham Town has recorded a reduction of 26% in murders and 44% in shootings. Greenwich Town has recorded a reduction of 22% in murders and 27% in shootings. August Town has recorded a 53% reduction in murders and a 71% reduction in shootings. And Norwood has recorded an 83% reduction in murders and a 100% reduction in shootings. Madam Speaker, were it not for a recent event in Norwood, it would have been 100%. The partnership in these communities has been historic and impactful and will continue to be encouraged as a necessity in safeguarding against a return to pre-zone declaration states. In this regard, the ongoing efforts at community engagement and strengthening community-based organizations and structures that will be able to sustain the gains achieved are critical. Madam Speaker, while we recognize the significant gains that are being made through the pursuit of diverse strategies and tools island-wide, the reality still remains that the perceptible impact of serious crimes, such as the recent spate of drive-by shootings and incidents involving motorcycles, continue to be disconcerting. And though the zones of special operations were meant to provide special emphasis on particular communities, the government's response continues to also provide for those other areas affected by crime. For this reason, it is especially important that this platform be used to reassure all Jamaicans that the government remains committed to pursuing those measures and strategies that will establish stability and long-lasting transformational results in Jamaica's most vulnerable communities. Madam Speaker, we will continue to use the laws, establishments, and resources to improve citizen security and public safety, thereby preserving and enhancing the quality of life for all Jamaicans and creating new foundations for long-term prosperity and peace.
Madam Speaker, I rise simply to support the resolutions for the extensions of the zones of special operations, and in particular for the Mount Salem zone, which falls within the constituency of St. James West Central, for which I represent. Madam Speaker, the work that is taking place is good work and needs to be continued. Thank you.
Very well. Any other contributions?
Madam Speaker, the opposition has no opposition.
A good one.
Oh, God. Madam Speaker, with that said, I ask you to put the resolution to the House.
Members, the question is that the resolutions, notice of which the Prime Minister gave earlier, be approved. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. Resolutions have been approved.
Madam Speaker, it's not intended to do any further business for the day, but permit me to thank the members for staying for this extraordinary sitting as it is, and to thank them for their indulgence and participation in this resolution that the Prime Minister so ably moved. Madam Speaker, I would invite you to adjourn the House for a date to be fixed. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Members, the question is that the House do adjourn for a date to be fixed. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. This House is now adjourned. And may I use this opportunity to wish us all a blessed and peaceful Easter.
People always say government must be held accountable. But is whose job to keep government accountable? And what that really mean? Well, you see, when ministers and public officials have to provide answers for decisions made and can face consequences for those actions and decisions, that means they're being held accountable. Keeping government accountable is a key responsibility of our elected representatives, and the Parliament provides special tools or mechanisms just for this. As citizens, we need to understand how they work so we can play our part to ensure that the members of Parliament we elect are using the tools and doing their job well. Here are 4 of the primary tools you should understand and talk to your MP about.